Hello there,
Here's my
everybody.
center of
My name is Michael, and this is my speed run for Nancy Drew, Legend of the Crystal Skull. In a speed run, you try to beat a game as quickly as possible. I managed to beat this game in 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 35 seconds. It's a pretty straightforward game, so doing a speed run was really quite easy. I'll just chime in every now and then, pointing out various tricks and things I did in order to speed things along, but for the most part, it's me just doing everything as quickly as possible.
Hi, the door was open.
Now, the first chance to speed things up a bit is coming along in about, say, 6 seconds.
What is it?
Something that'll make you feel better. Drink it. Just a couple sips.
You can choose to say okay or no thank you.
Thank you.
Don't make her drink any of your weirdo
It's faster if you say no thank you, because if you choose okay, Renee gives the cup to Nancy, Nancy will drink it, and then give it back to Renee.
Where am I?
You're at Henry Bolet's house, dear, in the library. He and I carried you in here after I found you unconscious in the foyer.
Why is it so dark in here?
The electricity went out. Lightning must have struck a transformer somewhere. What happened? Can you remember?
Well, the front door was open, so I walked in, and then I saw I saw a skeleton. And then he saw me. And then the light started flickering, and he threw something at me that exploded. The smoke must have made me pass out.
You saw a skeleton?
I'm sure it was just someone, wearing a costume or something. I'm Nancy Drew, by the way. I came to see Henry.
So we surmised.
So here's
I'm
something
Renee Amon.
interesting.
I'm Bruno
The next time
Bolet's
Henry
housekeeper.
talks, take a
That
look
is
at the
our wife.
S in Henry's
This
voice.
skeleton that attacked you.
It'll be right here. Look
We
at
should
Henry's
call the
voice.
police.
No emergency.
Look at that
room,
S
no
in Henry's
police.
voice. It's a
Who's confident
lowercase
enough
s, and all the other
Henry's
letters
feeling
are
might
in
overwhelm.
capital letters.
Well, you are looking much better.
That's a minor
so I'm
typo
gonna get back to
there.
my plant potting. You need
And I
anything?
noticed
I'll
it
be
because I had to
outside in
watch
the
this
garden.
opening cutscene about 20
I should
times
call them,
while doing the
put them
speed
on
run.
hold for 5 hours and see how they like it.
So I start off by going to the foyer and solving puzzles there. The first puzzle I solve is the marble puzzle. Now, unless I'm mistaken, this is the only puzzle which is different on Junior Mode and Senior Mode. All the other puzzles are identical on both modes. That's why I decided to play this speedrun on Senior Mode. Normally it's faster to play the game on Junior Mode because the puzzles are simpler, but since there's only one puzzle which differentiates between the two modes, I figured, hey, why not go for Senior Mode? It doesn't take that much more time to do the Senior Mode version of the puzzle than it does compared to the Junior Mode version. Alright, puzzle solved. So, back to the topic of the foyer. Why did I start out here? Well, it's because you will find this tracing here, and it's because I haven't talked to Renee first. Now, here's the phone conversation with Bess. If you've talked with Renee, Nancy's gonna mention Renee to Bess.
Hi, it's me.
And if you've
Hey,
been
Nick,
to the
I just got back
mausoleum,
from shopping, which
Nancy
I am
is going to
happy
mention
report
the
is
tracing to
fantastic
Bess.
here. So, what's going on with you?
A lot.
A lot is in a whole bunch of
That's
fun
gonna
stuff?
come up here
Let me
in
start
a
by telling you
moment.
what happened when I arrived at Henry's house. I walked up to the front door and discovered it was open. So I walked in.
You were knocked out
This
by
is the
a
point where Nancy
skeleton
would mention
wearing a
Renee,
red
but she doesn't
ascot?
because I haven't
Someone
talked to
dressed
Renee
as a
yet.
skeleton wearing a red ascot.
You think it was a burglar? I'm not sure.
And this is the point where Nancy would mention the tracing on the
around in
mausoleum,
doesn't
but
really
Nancy
contain
hasn't seen
anything
the mausoleum
valuable.
yet.
If I just knew what they were after,
So it's a
I might
time
be
saver
able
to
figure
call
out
Bess
whose skeleton
early,
man
you know,
is.
before you see the mausoleum
I know
and
that
before
tone
you
of
meet
voice.
Renee,
You're not
because
leaving
that
here
way
until you've
Nancy
done
won't
just
mention
that,
those
are
things
you?
to Bess.
Oh, I also found
It
some
saves you
kind of
about,
receipt in
I
the
don't know,
fireplace
maybe
that
5
may or may not be a clue.
seconds. Actually, probably
What's it
more
a
like
receipt
10.
for?
That's what I need to find out. See, it's half burned up. All I can read
Either way,
is the
it's sort
receipt
of a
number and the
long
name of the
phone
place it's from.
conversation.
Zeke.
But hey, you know, I saved a little
Zeeks,
bit of
You
time.
gotta be kidding me.
Why? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm sitting here on our balcony in the French Quarter looking down at a place across the street called Zeke's.
That's great. So go over there and ask whoever's behind the counter what receipt number 21-3872 is for.
No way.
Bess,
I'm not good at that sneaking around stuff, Nancy. I get nervous, my tongue gets all knotted up, my palms sweat, to say nothing of my armpits.
Bess, receipt number 21-3872. Just go in and ask what it's for. No big deal.
Maybe not for you.
Bess, you can do it.
This is not gonna end well, I just know it. Okay, I'll call you as soon as it's over.
I'll be waiting.
As you would expect, the segment at Zeke's is really
Doing a
straightforward.
little end of the day shopping, huh? See something you like?
You learn about the receipts, and then you
That's
solve the
what I wanna
sneezing
hear.
powder puzzle,
I'm
and
Lamont.
that's
This is
basically
my place.
it.
If you got any questions, I'm the guy to ask.
Actually, I do have a question. This friend of mine found the number of a receipt that came from this shop, and she asked me to ask you what the receipt is for. But if you're really busy, or you'd rather not, or it's against the rules,
No problem. What's the number?
21-3872.
21-3872. Here we go. That ticket was for a large box of assorted unknown items I bought from Henry Bolay. And, that's all I can tell you.
Is something wrong?
Look, I just don't want to make trouble for anyone, okay?
Where's the box now?
It's still in the back room. I haven't had a chance to really go through it yet. Hey, is there something else I can help you with? Beads, hula dolls, old books. Got great deals on all of them.
Guess I'll check this place out some more.
You got a question, just holler.
Interesting how he mentions beads when there are really no beads anywhere in the store. There's only one hula doll, too. Not sure why he
This
mentions
might come
that.
in handy.
There are tons of books, though. I imagine he has plenty of great deals on those. So yes, no real way to speed up this particular puzzle, just go through it quickly. And there we go.
There, that should do it. Lamont, could you help me?
Sure, what do you need?
I can't quite reach that bottle up there. Could you get it for me?
Sure.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I'll go get you something. What do you need?
Nose spray. Back room.
Nose spray, back room, got it.
So here's the weird thing. Lamont sends you to get nose spray in the back room, and there is no nose spray in the back room. There's no nose spray anywhere. And coming up here is a bit of a time-saving challenge. You know that blue post-it note that you need to read? It turns out you can solve the puzzle without actually reading the blue post-it note. Of course, that
Whoa,
probably
this is
only saves like
weird.
2 seconds.
better
It doesn't
call
take
Nancy
that
and
long
read this
to
to
see
her
the
word
blue
for
post-it
word.
note. But hey, it's still a time
Bess,
saver.
that is weird.
No, I'll tell you what's weird. The box the letter is in is padded, and it has this round indentation in it that's the exact size of a human skull. It's like it used to contain a skull, but now it doesn't.
Did you find anything else?
Yeah, inside the box that this box is in, there's a couple of photographs. One's of a boy and a dog, and the other is of an iguana dressed up like a pirate.
What?
And there's a costume in the box of a skeleton man.
Really?
And did I mention that Lamont was very reluctant to talk about buying this box of stuff from Henry? Said he didn't want to get anyone in trouble, whatever that means.
Sounds like he or Henry, or possibly both, are up to something they shouldn't be. Good job, Bess. I'm gonna poke around here and see if I can find out anything about a skull called the Whisperer. You better go take care of Lamont.
Would you believe it? The guy is still sneezing. He must keep nose spray around because something's wrong with his sinuses. Oh, he's gonna hate me.
Wait, Bess, you decided to call Nancy before getting the nose spray? Really, Bess? Really? So here's where I go to the mausoleum and notice that, hey, I can make tracings.
To figure out if there's anything camouflaged in that design, I'm gonna
You need to
some
get the tracing from the foyer, and you need to look at the mausoleum tracings so you can ask Renee for some paper.
Nancy, welcome to my little lantern-lit corner of the world.
It's a little wet out here.
I don't mind. No one should mind the rain. Without it, the end of the world would come much too soon. Did you and Henry have a nice chat?
I haven't really talked to him yet.
Henry's a very morose, very negative young man. Very cunning, too. In fact, I'm fairly certain that he's been selling off Dr. Bolay's belongings on the sly.
Won't all of Dr. Bolay's belongings go to Henry anyway?
Absolutely not. According to Dr. Bolay's will, Henry is to get 30% of the estate. Dr. Bolay's physician,
I don't think there's any way to skip this
30%.
conversation
Our
about...
Lady of Route 57
I
School
mean,
of Dentistry
this
and
long
Cosmetology
conversation.
gets 30%, and I am to receive 10%.
You just have to go through the conversation
by
as
any
quickly
chance
as
have some
possible
plain
before
paper
you
that I
can
could
talk about
use?
the
I
important
most
thing,
certainly do.
the
But
paper.
it's up in my room, and I'm afraid I cannot retrieve it for you until I'm finished here. You get the sudden urge to draw a picture?
Something like that. I know, I'll help you. That way you'll get done faster.
Gracious, you are the picture of impatience, aren't you? Well, I appreciate the offer. But here, why don't you just take this instead? It's an extra key to my room. The paper's in a drawer in my nightstand. Just go on up and help yourself. But make sure you lock the door when you leave, you hear? You I trust. But Henry, him I do not.
I really appreciate this.
And long as you're going up there, my appetite could use a little placating, so I would be much obliged if you would bring me a candy bar from my nightstand. And take one for yourself while you're at it. One more thing. I, too, have seen the skeleton man. After Dr. Bolay passed, that night, I saw him in the hallway. He was there, then he was gone. So you best be careful, Nancy Drew, because if it was Mr. Death, and I truly think it was, he's come back.
So now I'm gonna go to Renee's room to get a piece of paper. There are 2 time savers which are located inside Renee's room. Number 1 is only getting 1 Cocoa Kringle bar, as opposed to getting 2.
One for Renee.
Now the other major time saver is with the Hoodoo challenge. What you need to do is read the Hoodoo book and look at the Hoodoo symbols on the walls. Turns out you don't actually need to look at the Hoodoo symbols on the walls. All you have to do is read the Hoodoo book. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically reading the answers to this puzzle off a piece of paper, and I'm gonna read the Hoodoo book, and I'll just leave the room without taking a look at the Hoodoo wall. When you take a look at the Hoodoo wall, there's a minor cutscene in that, you know, you look at the wall and then there's lightning flashing. It's a little bit of a time saver to simply skip that entirely.
What was that?
That was Uncle Bruno's pet iguana, Iggy. He's always in here stealing paper. He must be using it to build a nest or something. Look, I had all those books arranged so they fit perfectly in that box. Put them back in, okay? I don't have time.
I just want to look through this one book.
Go right ahead, after you put all those other books back.
Now for the book puzzle. You can't actually solve this puzzle until you go through that whole scene with Bess and hear about the picture of the iguana. Now, why do you have to solve this puzzle? Well, it's because it gives you the clue to other puzzles. You read Professor Hotchkiss's book and you find a piece of paper which lets you solve the portrait puzzle. And when you read Professor Hotchkiss's book all the way through, you can ask Henry about Bruno's death. So that's why you need to read that particular book. You don't actually need to call Professor Hotchkiss. So now I'm going to solve the tracings puzzle. Now that I have paper, I can make tracings of those things on the walls of the mausoleum. Turns out, though, you don't need to. All you need to do is go to the mausoleum with painting in your inventory, and then you can solve the tracing puzzle. You don't actually have to make tracings to solve the tracing puzzle. Just like how you don't have to actually see the hoodoo wall symbols in order to solve the hoodoo puzzle. It's interesting. This is an easy one to solve. Down, down, and then down. Alright, now I'm going to go back to the mausoleum in order to get the painting of Henry's parents. And then I'm going to use that to go inside the secret room, and that's basically going to be the end of segment number 1.
This must be the painting that goes in that empty frame.
I don't know what it is about the painting puzzle, but I always seem to screw it up. And you'll notice here, I screwed up a little bit, you know, towards the end. Not here. I get the top row just fine, but the bottom row, I'm like, what? Where do things go? So yeah, I wasted a little bit of time there by messing up on the puzzle.
Come on, Summer, give me a break here. You never said anything about that. Well, how was I supposed to know? I mean, what am I, telepathic? Oh, come on. Look, I'll see what I can do, okay? What do you mean, something else? You gotta be kidding me, Summer. I don't have that kind of money. No, I meant I don't have it now, but I will soon, okay? Bye. Oh, man.
So there's the spider puzzle. You have to see the spider puzzle thing before you can actually solve the puzzle. And I think I screw up here too. I get a little bit confused as to what I'm trying to do. Mainly because I've been playing this game for 19 minutes straight and it's sort of thrown me off my game. So I'm like, where am I going? What am I doing? And then I remember, oh yeah, spider puzzle. So my apologies there. I just wasted about 5 seconds doing nothing. But you know, I decided to leave that in because, like I said, it's sort of near the end of segment number 1. So I decided, hey, I'm really close to ending this segment. Might as well just leave that in. Alright, so segment number 1 ends right over here. I go inside the room, then I save my game. Then I quit and reload the game
Here's
later
my
on.
center of
Why did I do that? This is why I did that. The Skee-Ball challenge. Oh gosh, so this is basically the speedrun killer for me. Because this challenge sort of takes a long time. And you'll notice I am not solving this puzzle as quickly as possible. I take my time in aiming these things correctly. And that was a mistake there. I was aiming for the top left corner, not the top middle. But you know, this is a pretty good version of me solving the Skee-Ball challenge. Is it fast? No, it's not fast, but I don't miss any of my shots. Well, not really. By don't miss any of my shots, I basically mean I don't have to take any extra shots. Those two shots right there where I'm aiming for the top right corner, they were all bad. You know, I aimed for the top right corner and then I somehow hit the bottom left corner and the bottom middle corner, and I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, that's that challenge done. Next, I basically just solve all the puzzles here in Bruno's secret
This must be
area.
where I'm supposed to put all the glass eyes I've found. Let's see how we're doing.
You need to get that eyeball, otherwise you won't be able to talk to Henry about the eyeball from Bruno. And this is me solving the Hoodoo puzzle without actually seeing the Hoodoo symbols.
Pa, sha, lu, pa, di, mu, pa.
That looks like the right name. Gotcha.
So what you have to do is learn the password
May
for the
31st.
Jolly
That's
Rogers.
today.
And you have to see the Jolly Rogers photograph, which I'll do in a second. And you have to go all the way through Bruno's book of puzzles and clues before you can actually solve those puzzles. So from here on out, things are pretty straightforward for the next, say, 10 minutes or so. I basically just solve all of the puzzles left behind in Bruno's book. I get the eyeball here, rather than, say, getting it earlier or later. That way I don't have to make a second trip to Bruno's room.
A librarian's tale. Something Bruno Ballet wrote in that Tired Eyes book mentioned the librarian's eye.
So you have to go through the card
Here
catalog
we
in
go.
order to
A
find this
librarian's
book.
tale.
And I do a minor time saver here by getting the trophy eyeball at this point. If that is the first eyeball you get in the game,
Nancy
and Henry
decided
will
to
have a
talk to me.
conversation
You
about
seem so
eyeballs.
busy. I've been
So it's a
reluctant to
time
bother
saver
you.
Great
to
Uncle
get that
Bruno
eyeball
named me
later. You skip
executor
that
of his
entire
estate,
conversation.
which means I have to make sure all his bills are paid and debts taken care of.
So now
his
I'm talking to
assets can be
Henry. This
distributed.
is the only conversation I have with
He couldn't
Henry.
have cared less about
And
little
really,
things like
the
keeping
only
records or
important things to
balancing
talk about
checkbooks.
are
Dealing
Bruno's
with his
death
creditors
and then,
and their
you know,
lawyers has been an
blackmailing
absolute
Henry about
nightmare.
Summer.
He made you his executor? You two must have been close.
Not really. My parents died in a car crash when I was 8. Since I had no other relatives, he took me in, or should I say he shipped me out. Boarding school, summer camp, military school, college. He may have looked after me, but he never spent any time with me. I didn't know him at all. So, thanks for stopping by, Nancy. And now you can report back to Ned that I'm fine and go enjoy New Orleans.
No,
You're not
I
fine,
can't.
Henry. You just spent
Not
like
until I
20
know who
seconds
that
complaining
skeleton
about your
man
great
was
uncle
and
and
what he was
how
doing
you're very
here and
upset.
why he knocked me out like
depressed.
that. Look, I can understand you're not wanting to call the police, but somebody should investigate. And since playing detective is kind of a hobby with me.
No offense, but are you sure you didn't just pass out from the heat and humidity or something and dream that you saw the skeleton dude?
I'm positive.
Okay, look around all you want. But I should probably warn you, Uncle Bruno was into exotic pets. Didn't believe in cages, so he gave him the run of the place. And just because he's dead doesn't mean they are. So if you're gonna go poking around, be careful.
How did Bruno die,
Alright,
if you don't
so,
mind my
like I
asking?
said, you have to read
Just dropped
Professor
dead in the front
Hotchkiss's
hallway.
book in order
I mean,
to
the
talk to
guy
Henry
was
about
95
Bruno's
years old.
death.
Here, check it out. Myocardial infarction. That's doctor speak for heart attack.
Attending physician
You have
Dr.
to see the
Gilbert
eyeball
Buford,
inside the cabinet in
504
Bruno's room in order to talk about the
555
eyeball
Was that
on the
Bruno's
keychain.
doctor?
And his best friend, or so I'm told. I've never met him.
Interesting keychain.
That's one of Uncle Bruno's glass eyes. It's the one he was wearing when he died.
How nice.
Anything else?
Do you think I could borrow your keychain? The one that has Bruno's glass eye on it?
You want to borrow it? What for?
Actually, all I really want is the eye. I mean, it's just so cool.
What if you break it?
If it's on a chain, it can't be that fragile.
I don't think I want to take that chance. Sorry.
The box of your great uncle's things that you sold to Zeke's curio shop, that was a no-no, wasn't it?
What box of things? I don't know what you're talking about.
I found a half-burned receipt from Zeke's in the fireplace and did some investigating.
Well, somebody screwed up somewhere because I haven't sold anything to anybody. Why would I sell one lousy box of stuff when I'm about to inherit a whole house full of stuff? Get real.
You sold it because you needed some quick cash in order to keep Summer happy, didn't you?
How do you know about her?
Playing detective is actually a lot more than a hobby with me. I could make a lot of trouble for you, Henry, but if you come clean, tell me about Summer.
She's this girl I'm in love with. I think she loves me back, but she's so unpredictable it drives me nuts.
How is she unpredictable?
I never know what's gonna make her happy. Like, just before I left, I took practically every bit of cash I had and bought her a bunch of CDs. You know, to keep her occupied while I was gone, right? Well, soon as I get here, she calls and says her sound system just went bluey and I had to buy her a new one because what good were the CDs I bought her if she couldn't play them? So then
you threw a bunch of Bruno's things into a box and sold it to that curio shop.
Yeah, I wired her the money, but then she called and said she also needed new headphones. Next call, it was new speakers. And now she expects me to buy her a flat-screen TV. When I try to talk to her about always wanting more like that, she gets really mad. But I'm afraid if I don't give her what she wants, I'm afraid she'll dump me. And I couldn't take that. I mean, she's the only girlfriend I've ever had. Ever will have, probably. Look, you don't need to go telling Renee or any of those lawyers about selling that stuff, right?
I can't just ignore what you did, Henry.
I know. You still want the glass eye? Take it. Go ahead. It's all yours. You want something, I want something. Take it and we're even, okay?
Well, it's not like you sold off half the estate or anything.
$300. That's all I've gotten out of his estate. I swear. Go on, take it. I was naughty, but from now on I'll be nice, I promise.
I'll let you get back to work.
Whatever.
Alright, so
This
now I'm
shovel with
going
the
to try to
weird
take
handle.
the
Do you
skeleton
think I could
handle.
borrow it?
Dr. Bolay
And
took
Renee is
great
going to give
interest
me
in that
the
shovel.
task of
Don't know
collecting
why.
all the
Never used
mushrooms.
it. Just like to see it hanging there. Me, I use it to dig up roots.
I could dig you up some roots.
Right now, I need mushrooms. I was hoping to get them picked tonight, but from the looks of all this potting I still have to do...
I'd be happy to pick them for you.
Why, what a generous offer. All right, then. I need 5 painted conchs. They're mushrooms that have got a short, fat stem and a large bell-shaped cap covered with big red dots. You might find 1 or 2 here in the garden, but you'll have better luck in the boggy part of the cemetery. You get me 5, no more, no less, and I'll let you borrow that shovel.
Deal.
You can put them in this bag. How else may I be of service to you?
And that's
See you
it.
later.
Thanks for coming by.
Nothing else to talk. Nothing else to talk to Renee about. Here's this puzzle, which is usually horrible, but I solved
That
it
should
very
keep you
quickly.
guys quiet for a while. If I need another loquat, I'll just come back.
So right now I'm gonna solve all the puzzles in the garden, and then I'm gonna go to the graveyard and solve the puzzles there.
This has got to be a painted conch.
Honestly, you have to wonder why Bruno set up all these puzzles to protect his glass eyeballs. I mean, all this does is make it really difficult for him to change eyeballs. I mean, this puzzle is a prime example. Maybe the clock in the, the building is also another good example. But look at all the work you have to go through just to get an eyeball. I mean, Henry said he likes to wear a different eyeball, right? Henry's like, he liked to wear a different eyeball every single day. Had a whole collection of them. It's like, how was he able to change eyeballs every single day when it's so hard just to get one eyeball? Craziness. Of course, it does make you wonder why Bruno set up all these puzzles. I mean, these puzzles lead you to the crystal skull, obviously, and he wanted Henry to get the skull, but the skull allegedly makes you live forever, so why set up these puzzles? Bruno wasn't expecting to die, was he? He shouldn't have been expecting death because he had his magical crystal skull, which makes him live forever. Alright, so here I am solving the painted conch puzzle at the same time that I'm solving the graveyard denizens puzzle. It's a time saver because they are both puzzles which take place in the graveyard, so I'm solving them both at the same time, rather than
gotta be it.
solving one and then coming back to the graveyard later to solve the other. How did I do this? I basically am following instructions off a piece of paper at this point. So, you know, I'm reading off of a paper which says, okay, go down and then up. And then you want to go left and up and then left.
That looks like the right name.
So there I made a mistake, because, you know, my paper said left, and I went left rather than going left. It's weird. But I managed to get a mushroom and, you know, make up for that mistake by getting a mushroom.
There, I'm no dummy.
Yeah, when I said left, I meant up left, not down left. That's what threw me off. So this is
That looks
weird.
like the
I
right
mean,
name.
Manny's tombstone is died in depth. What kind of epitaph is that to put on someone's tombstone? I mean, usually you put something nice like, oh, he was a good person, he will never be
Let's hope
forgotten.
Neil is lying
But,
down by now.
you know, somebody put down, Manny, oh, she died in debt. She owed me a lot of money. Yeah, that's what I remember her for. It's just a really mean thing to put.
Bingo. Smells right to me. Hopefully this will givens me a clue.
Alright, we are almost finished with the puzzle. It's not that bad of a puzzle. It's kind of a pain if you don't have these things written down. In which case you have to keep going back and forth between the graveyard and the model cemetery inside the house.
Hi, Bess. How
Then
you
it's a
doing?
real pain to solve that
Great.
puzzle.
I just
But,
took a
you know,
nice,
as you can see,
luxurious
it can
bubble
be
bath
solved
and I'm
within
ready
like
to
5
boogie.
minutes.
When are you coming back here?
That's still kind of hard to say, but listen. Remember that old photo of a boy and his dog you said you saw in that box of stuff Henry sold to Lamont?
Yeah?
Did it
So
look
we're
like
a
it was
little
maybe
more
taken
than
in the
halfway through
1920s?
this game.
That's exactly what it
Most of
looked
the
like.
rest of
Why?
the game is
Because
going
I
to
need
be
to find out the
Bess.
name of
Actually, I
Bruno
think about
Bollet's
half
dog.
of it is
And
Bess
if
and
that boy was
half of it
Bruno,
is
then
Nancy.
that was probably his dog. Was there any writing on the picture?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it said
Yeah, we have
Bruno.
3 more
That's all it
missions to
said?
solve as
Just Bruno?
Bess.
No,
And
it
this
said
is the
Bruno
first of those
and,
3.
But whatever came after and was hidden by the frame.
I really need to know the name of that dog.
Oh, no. No, you don't. No more snooping. Uh-uh.
Bess, just get into that box again and see if the dog's name is on that picture. That's all I want you to do.
How? I can't just go waltzing into Lamont's back room.
And he's for sure as heck not gonna fall for that sneeze contraption again.
There must be some other way you can distract him. Please, Bess, I can't tell you how important this is. You gotta do this for me, please.
Okay. We're not gonna have any fun here until you solve this mystery, and since you can't do that until I do this... Okay, I'll sneak into the back room and take another look at that photo. I mean, I will if I don't screw up.
Think positive, Bess. You're gonna do fine.
You bet I am. In fact, I'm not going to call you again until I have seen that picture. I'm going in.
You go, girl.
Hey,
That gumbo stand outside? What do you think? Is it pretty authentic?
outstanding. Just watch the hot sauce. Whatever's in it gives my stomach instant fits.
You know, I still feel guilty about that sneezing thing, so how about I go and get you a nice big bowl of gumbo?
Just so happens I'm starving, so hey, you got a deal.
Great. I'll be right back.
This challenge is pretty straightforward. You talk to Lamont, you get Gumbo, then you go back and talk to Lamont.
Can I get a gumbo to go, please?
There you go.
That my gumbo?
There you go. Enjoy.
Uh-oh. Oh, you're gonna have to excuse me.
Uh-oh. I better get out of here.
Grant? The dog's name was Grant?
That's what it said on the photo.
Kind of a weird name for a dog, huh?
Yeah, well, Bruno Bollet was kind of a weird guy. Hey, thanks a lot, Bess. You've been a huge help.
I'll tell you, being sneaky takes a lot out of me. I'm exhausted.
I still don't know when I'll get back there, so just kind of hang loose, okay?
Story of my life. Call me if you need me.
I will. Bye.
Now here's kind of a long phone conversation, which lets you know that Dr. Buford is right where Bess
This is Dr. Gilbert Buford's answering service. How may I help you?
I need to talk to Dr. Buford. Could you maybe give me a number where I can reach him?
No, ma'am, I cannot. Is this an emergency?
Sort of. I mean, it's not a medical emergency. See, I'm only going to be in town for a short time, and Dr. Buford and I have this mutual friend who died recently, and I just really need to talk to him about it.
Need some consoling, huh?
Yes, I need some consoling. That's it exactly.
Well, tell you what. It's against the rules to give you his phone number, but I can tell you that now that he's all but retired, Dr. Buford spends most of his evenings at his favorite gumbo stand down in the French Quarter. If you really need to talk to him, you can probably find him there.
Great. Do you know the address?
It's at the corner of Rampart and Domain.
Did you say Rampart and Domain?
I did indeed. Granny Pumpkin's Cajun Cooking. They make some darn fine gumbo.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I'm truly sorry about your loss.
My loss?
That mutual friend of yours and Dr. Buford's?
Oh, right. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Bye.
You bring me that cocoa kringle bar like I asked?
Right here.
Bless you. I'm so hungry I could devour these plants I'm potting up, dirt and all. How else may I be of service to you?
I picked those mushrooms for you.
Well, bless your heart, you did it.
Actually, picking the one growing on the log sticking out of the swamp was a little hairy.
Oh, my. I forgot to warn you about Bernie, didn't I?
If by Bernie you mean the alligator that almost had me for dinner, yeah, you did.
He's another one of Dr. Bollet's pets. He'd kick that log to get Bernie's attention, then feed him marshmallows. Problem is, now that gator leaps up and snaps every time someone so much as touches that log. I should have said something, but I've gotten so used to Bernie I just plain forgot. Anyway, feel free to help yourself to that shovel. You earned it.
I'll see you later.
Take care, hon.
Alright, so now I finally have the shovel, which means I can solve the Charlie Wicker puzzle, also in the graveyard. But first, let's solve the Grant puzzle. You know, finish up with that, graveyard denizens hunting, whatever you call it, puzzle. Here, I just read the answers off a piece of paper rather than looking at the skeleton hand at the top of the screen. I feel like that's a time saver, but it's really not. I don't know, I just feel like I move faster when I know what the moves are ahead of time, rather than having to double check that, oh, now it's 3, ooh, now it's 4, now it's 1. again, this is a lot of work that you have to go through in order to get a glass eyeball. Didn't mean to open the book. And now I'm calling Bess.
Hello?
Hi, Bess, it's me.
So what's been happening? Tell me everything.
Well, let's see. Since the last time we talked, I was just about getting ready.
Interesting stuff.
But the reason I called is, I need you to talk to this doctor named Gilbert Buford, who, as it turns out, likes to hang out at a gumbo stand called Granny Pumpkin's Cajun Cookin', which should be right across from our hotel.
You just want me to talk to him? That's it? Nothing nefarious? No black ops stuff?
He was Bruno Bellay's doctor, and apparently his best friend, too. I just need for you to see if he thinks there was anything weird about the way Bruno died.
What do you mean by weird?
I mean, I kind of think maybe Bruno was murdered.
Murdered? By whom?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Everyone's a suspect at this point.
Including this Gilbert Buford guy?
Well...
Great, I'm gonna be chatting up Jack the Ripper.
Oh, I'm sure the guy's fine, but be subtle, just in case.
Well, I can see the gumbo stand from our balcony. If he's the guy that's sitting down there, I guess he looks harmless. Okay, I'll go talk to him.
Thanks, Bess. Let me know what happens.
Cheerio.
Why, hello, young lady. How kind of you to grace an old man with your lovely presence.
Are you Dr. Gilbert Buford?
I'm delighted to report that I
So
am
here's a fun
indeed.
little fact for
Your
you.
answering
The guy
service
who
said I'd
does the
probably
voice
find
of
you
Dr.
This here
Buford
is my favorite
also
spot
played
in
the
whole
sheriff
city.
in
Delicious
White Wolf of
gumbo,
Icicle Creek.
pleasing view, particularly
He also did the
now, I
pilot
might
in
add.
Nancy Drew, Ransom of the
My
Seven
name's Bess Marvin.
Ships.
I'd like to ask you some questions about Bruno Bollé, if that's okay?
I'd prefer subject matter of a happier nature, but I do not want to seem inhospitable, so what is it you want to know?
Is there any doubt in your mind as to how Dr. Bollé died?
He died of a myocardial infarction, most likely
The
caused by
conversation with
age-related
Dr. Buford is
atherosclerosis.
really
Dying of a
kind of
heart
a
attack
complicated
is all
one.
too common for people
No
who
matter
are
which
socially
options you pick, he's
isolated.
always
And
going to go
Bruno
through the
Bollé
exact same
had
information,
most certainly become
but he'll
that.
do it in a different
He was
order
hard to get
depending
along
on
with?
which options you
Fact
pick.
is, while
So
socializing with my
basically
fellow
what I
man,
did was I
particularly
recorded the
with pretty young
conversation
women
over and
such as
over and over and
yourself,
over and over again,
has always been a source of
each
pleasure
time
for me.
picking a different
Bruno
pathway
was just the opposite.
until I figured out
Unfortunately,
which
the
one
older
was
he
the
got,
shortest
the more numerous
conversation.
his idiosyncrasies became, and the less concern about their negative effect upon others he became.
Where was Dr. Bollé when he had his MI?
In the foyer of his house, just inside the front door. In fact, I hadn't seen him for a while, so I picked that day to pay him a visit. I walked
Now, it's
up
possible
to the front
that you
door,
had talked
found
to
it
Renee
unlocked as
about
usual,
Dr. Buford.
opened it,
If that
and
happens,
there he was,
Bess will tell
lying on
Dr.
the
Buford,
floor
hey,
in
Renee
obvious
said you were
distress.
in the house
The
when he
next thing I
died.
know, his housekeeper came
Fun
running in
fact.
and started shrieking and carrying on, until finally I sent her out of the room so she could summon an ambulance, and I could once again hear myself think. Well, let's see. Then I knelt down and saw that he wasn't breathing. So I pulled him away from the doorway so I'd have more room to work on him and began chest compressions. I continued until the medics arrived, but nothing they did made a difference either.
Was Dr. Bollé unconscious the whole time?
Yes, he was.
Can you remember anything that might indicate what he was doing by the front door? I mean, had he just come in from a walk? Was he wearing a hat? Was he holding anything? Had he dropped something? An umbrella? Sunglasses?
Wait a minute. Why, yes, he was holding something. A piece of paper. And on the floor next to him was an envelope. He must have collapsed while reading a letter.
Do you know what happened to it?
Now, I know the letter was no longer in Bruno's hand when the paramedics arrived, so perhaps he released the letter when I moved him. And yet, I do not recall seeing it on the floor when they wheeled him out the door. Iggy.
What's icky?
Iggy. Iggy is an iguana Bruno befriended, then turned loose in his home. It soon developed the annoying habit of stealing paper and stockpiling it in the vent system.
Are you saying an iguana made off with the letter Bruno had been reading?
It would not have been the first time a missing document ended up in Iggy's possession. Renee would periodically call me saying the lizard had absconded with one of Bruno's prescriptions and would I please write her up a replacement. In any case, Bruno once told me he was training Iggy. Said he taught Iggy to retrieve the things it had stolen.
I'll let you get back to your gumbo.
Good night.
Alright, that's the important thing. You have to go through the entire scene with Dr. Buford to learn that Iggy is hiding in the vent system.
Hi, Nance. Okay, here's what's been happening at my end.
And that's pretty much it.
Good work. I'll take it from here. Thanks again.
Good luck. Bye.
Iggy, come here, Iggy. Got something for ya.
Alright, now I have 24 glass eyes, and now I have to go all the way back outside to get another loquat. Or loquate, or however you pronounce that particular fruit that I've never heard of outside of this game.
Iggy, how about a nice, juicy loquat?
Iggy is a very well-trained iguana, I have to say. Even if he does steal paper way too often. So, this is our clue to send Bess in order to infiltrate that Jolly Rogers meeting.
Hello?
Hi, Bess. Listen, you busy?
Why?
I need you to do something for me.
What?
I need you to infiltrate the meeting of the Jolly Rogers crew that's about to be held at Rampart and Dumaine, which has got to be right near Zeke's. You're going to have to look around for it. Now, to get into the meeting, you'll need to put on that skeleton man costume you saw in the back room. And once you're in the meeting, you'll need to listen for the name that opens the meeting so you can tell me what it is, okay?
No.
Beth, I know you don't like to do stuff like this, but this is really, really, really important, and it'll be the last thing I ask you to do. I promise.
Oh, all right. I don't suppose it would do any good to point out that the curio shop is closed?
You'll find a way in. Oh, and if anyone at the meeting asks, the password is Scuttled Bones.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
That's the spirit.
I like this music here. Nice jazzy tune for New Orleans. And you'll notice that Bess puts on the costume and it appears in the upper left-hand corner. That's the only time anything appears in that black bar at the top of the screen.
What's the password?
Password? Right. Let's see. Scuttled Bones.
Better hurry, we're just about to start.
Welcome, my fellow Jolly Rogers.
know that
We
voice.
have several pressing matters to discuss this evening, so let us begin. As you may or may not have heard, certain city officials are attempting to deny us the right not only to gather in public places during the Mardi Gras season, but they have also seen fit to...
Shoot, I forgot to turn off my cell phone.
It seems we have an uninvited guest. Get him!
It's funny how they make such a big fuss over the fact that somebody's cell phone went off in the middle of the meeting. I mean, that happens all the time, right?
You're making a big
They're like, what? Somebody's using his cell phone? We must have an intruder that we have to kidnap and lock in a chair. And that sounds like they handcuffed her to a chair, even.
Variety. Let's have a look.
That's right. You know me and I know you, Dr. Buford. And I also know that you were the one who attacked my friend over at the Boley Mansion today. And if you don't tell me why right now, I promise you, you are going to be in one big world of hurt.
The young lady's clearly upset about something. Clarence,
Upset
take
about
over the
something.
meeting
I
while
don't
try to
know.
find
Maybe
out
it's the
why
fact that she's
making all these
handcuffed to a
crazy
chair. You know, that
accusations.
would make anybody
They're not
upset.
crazy and you know it.
I will tell you everything, Miss Marvin, in private.
And he did. He told me everything, Nancy. I bluffed him into confessing. You would have been so proud of me. Oh, and before I forget, the name they chanted at the start of the meeting was Jean Lafitte.
Jean Lafitte. Great. Now, what did Dr. Buford tell you?
Okay.
Okay,
First
he
off,
told me to
said
wrap
that with
up a
his
couple
dying
of the
breath,
plot
Bruno
points
Boley
before
directed
we
him to
reach
steal
the end of the
painting
game.
of Henry's
Okay?
parents and lock it up in Henry's parents' crypt. Bruno seemed to think that way Henry would wind up with the crystal skull instead of somebody else.
So Dr. Buford dressed up in his skeleton man costume, stole the canvas, and hid it in the crypt like Bruno asked.
That must have been when Renee saw Mr. Death.
But then, Dr. Buford had second thoughts and decided to heck with Henry. He wanted that crystal skull for himself. So this afternoon, he dressed up in his skeleton man costume again and snuck into Henry's house so he could get the key from that mini cemetery and retrieve the painting he'd left in that crypt, knowing the painting would somehow lead him to the skull.
Only I walked in on him and ruined everything.
Right. And now that we're onto him, he says he no longer wants the skull. He's embarrassed that he allowed his superstitious side to get the best of him and says whoever finds the skull is welcome to it. At least that's what Dr. Buford said. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what?
I told him you were looking for the skull.
That's all right.
Actually, I told him you were on the verge of finding it.
Why would you tell him that?
I don't know. I
I'm
got
a
carried
compulsive
away.
liar.
So if he lied to me and he really does still want the skull, then he might come after you. He left right after we talked, and I don't think he went back into that meeting. What if he's on his way over there?
Don't worry, I'll be fine. Why don't you just... Whoa, that bolt of lightning was huge. Anyway, why don't you just go relax, and I'll be back at the hotel before you know it, okay? Bess? Hello? Bess, you there? Nope, she sure isn't.
Alright, not much to do now. Just open the box, which gives us the final eyeball, and then solve the eyeball puzzle. I'm actually told that Jean Lafitte was one of the key players in the Battle of New Orleans, which is one of the battles during the War of 1812. The United States managed to beat Britain in about 25 minutes, actually. It was a very short battle, even though we were dreadfully outnumbered. It was a great victory on behalf of Andrew Jackson. So I just read the answers off of a piece of paper there. Basically, it's like 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, and that's what my piece of paper was. It just told me how many times to click on every single eyeball. And this is it. This is the end game sequence. We are almost at the end of segment number 2. Segment number 2 was 43 minutes long. In contrast, segment number 3 is what? Segment number 3 is about 4.5 minutes long. This is so cool looking. I just love this scene. It just looks so awesome. Very convenient that, you know, it takes place during a lightning storm. Otherwise, I imagine the bird wouldn't be able to send out an electrical, magical shock through its eyeballs. But still, I mean, that's just a cool looking scene, even though the science behind it is... What? How does that even work? Like, the bird has magical eyeballs, which only fire at the exact right time? Huh.
Nancy, that you in there? Goodness sakes, gal, what on earth have you gone and done?
The lid's closing and I don't know how to stop it.
Here, I'll pull you up. Toss what you're holding up here, then give me your hands. Come on, you best hurry.
Here it comes. Renee, a little help, please?
The crystal skull. After all that scheming, how do I finally get it? Why, this nice little Yankee gal just hands it to me.
Renee, help me. Hurry, please.
Thank you, Nancy. Bye now.
No, you've got to help me. Renee! Renee!
Renee, you're a jerk. And that's the end of segment 2.
Here's my center of...
Now for segment 3. This puzzle is randomly determined. The location of the symbols changes every single time, so that's why I decided to save and restart. I'm usually not very good at these puzzles, but I did extremely well this time around. Wonder why there are so many muddy footprints there. Nancy's been walking around this whole time, and there have been no footprints at all.
To say nothing of the fact that you just tried to bury me alive.
The skull is mine. It wants to be mine. Yes, I did my share.
And this is basically it. This is the end of game sequence. So nothing you can do here. Just listen to Renee babble on and on and on, and just click the log, and that's how you win.
Yes, my plan failed, and yet here we are. I have the skull. Why? Because it knows that I will fulfill its destiny.
Bruno Bollet wanted Henry to have it. That's why he had Gilbert Buford steal that painting and hide it in Henry's parents' crypt. Because he hoped that way Henry would eventually find it.
Henry's a fool. If he ever got his hands on this, he would just turn around and give it to that trashy girlfriend of his. Dr. Bollet, he just wanted it because he was terrified of dying. Gilbert Buford, too. And that Lamont fella, he just wants to sell it to the highest bidder. For me, my motives are pure.
So what can I say about the speedrun? Not much, I don't think. It's a very straightforward game. Just
I'm gonna be right there when they start
Yeah,
conversing.
I just solve all the puzzles in a very quick fashion and in a proper order. I can't imagine much happening to improve this speedrun. I certainly would like to see it if somebody could beat this game in under an hour, but I'm not entirely sure that's
burst into
possible.
tears and sobbed as Bernie swam away with a crystal skull. It made me feel sorry for her for about 2 seconds.
Maybe if you could skip
After all,
one of
while
those
she may not
trips
have
that
meant to
Bess
cause
takes,
Bruno's
then
death,
yeah,
she
you could get
certainly
it.
meant to cause
You could get this
mine
game
when she
done
left
in
me
under an
sealed up
hour,
in
but
that
I
crypt.
don't think it's possible to beat the
It
game
felt
without
good to turn her over to the
doing
police.
all 4 of the trips
Later
Bess
that night,
takes
Dr.
to
Buford came over and
the
apologized
Rampart
for
and
knocking
Domain
me out
area.
with that smoke bomb, and for allowing himself to think, even for a moment, that Bruno's crystal skull was anything more than a pretty piece of quartz. To make up for his shameful behavior, he insisted on taking Bess and me on a grand tour of New Orleans. Seeing the city through the eyes of someone who loves it as much as Dr. Buford was truly special. He invited Henry too, but Henry declined. He was still trying to process the fact that his great-uncle wanted him to have the skull. Henry always thought that to Bruno he was nothing more than an annoying family obligation, someone Bruno couldn't care less about. Yet Bruno's request of Dr. Buford, made with his dying breath, proved that he did care about Henry. Apparently, and unfortunately for Henry, Bruno was the type of man who just couldn't bring himself to say such things out loud. As for Lamont, when he heard what happened, he closed his shop, bought enough marshmallows to fill a swamp boat, and has been scouring the bayous ever since, kicking every log he comes to in hopes of finding Bernie and the crystal skull inside him. But Bernie has yet to turn up. Maybe the skull didn't agree with him. Maybe swallowing it caused him to stop associating the sound of a kicked log with yummy sweet things. In any case, the Whisperer has disappeared, lost to the world once again, which is totally fine by me.
And now the alligator is going to live forever because he ate the magical skull. Good job there, Bernie!
Talk about a detective's dream.